Chapter 22. Rescues from Serpent-Bites. Balasaheb Mirikar, Bapusaheb Buti, Amir Sakkar, Hemandpant-Baba's opinion regarding killing of serpents. Preliminary. How to meditate on Baba. No one has been able to fathom the nature or form of Almighty. Even the Vedas and the thousand-tongued Sheshas are not able to describe it fully. The devotees also cannot know but only look at the form of the Lord, for they know that His feet are their only refuge. They know no other method of attaining the supreme goal of life except meditating on the holy feet. Hemandpant suggests an easy way of devotion and meditation as follows. As the dark fortnight of every month wears out gradually, the moonlight also wanes in the same degree, and on the new moon day we do see the moon at all. Therefore, when the bright fortnight begins, people are very anxious to see the moon. On the first day, the moon is not seen, and on the second day, she emerges as a thin crescent. Then the people are asked to see the moon through the opening between the two branches of a tree. And when they begin to see through this aperture eagerly, the distant small crescent of the moon comes to their sight. Following this instance, let us see Baba's form. Look at Baba's posture, how fine it is. He is sitting with his legs folded, the right leg held across the left knee. The fingers of his left hand are spread on the right foot. On the toe are spread his two fingers, the index and the middle one. By this posture, Baba seems to say, if you want to see my true form, be egoless and most humble, and meditate on my toe through the opening between index and middle fingers. And then you will be able to see my light. Now let us turn to Baba's life. Shirdi had become a place of pilgrimage on account of Baba's stay. People from all quarters began to flock there, and both the rich and the poor began to be benefited in many ways than one. Who can describe Baba's boundless love and his wonderful knowledge and his all-pervasiveness? Blessed is he who could experience these. Sometimes Baba observed long silence, which was in a way his dissertation on Brahma. At other times he was pure consciousness, bliss incarnate, surrounded by his devotees. Sometimes he spoke in parables, and at other times indulged in wit and humor. At times he was quite calm, and at times he seemed enraged. Sometimes he gave his teaching in a nutshell, at other times he argued at length. Many a time he was very direct. In this way he gave varied instructions to many according to their requirements. His life was therefore inscrutable, beyond the ken of our mind, intellect, and speech. Our longing to see his face, to talk with him, and hear his leelas was never satisfied. Still, we were overflowing with joy. We can gauge the showers of rain, capture the wind in a leather bag, but who can measure his leelas? Now we deal here with one aspect of them, mainly how he anticipated or forestalled the calamities of his devotee and warned them in time. Balasaheb Mirikar. Balasaheb Mirikar, son of Sardar Kakasaheb Mirikar, was Mamletdar of Kopargaon. He was going on tour to Chaitali. On the way, he came to Shirdi to see Sai Baba. When he went to Masjid and prostrated himself before Baba, the usual conversation regarding health and the other matters commenced when Baba sounded a note of warning, "Do you know our Dwarka Mai?" As Balasaheb did not understand, he did not quite continue. As Balasaheb did not understand, he kept quiet. Baba continued, "This is our Dwarka Mai, where you are sitting. She wards off all dangers and anxiety of the children who sit on her lap. This Masjid Mai, that its preceding deity, is very merciful. She is the merciful mother of the simple devotees whom she will save in calamities. Once a person sits on her lap, all his troubles are over. He who rests in her shade gets bliss. Then Baba gave him Udi and placed his hand on his head. When Balasaheb was about to depart, he again said, "Do you know the Lamba Baba, a long gentleman, mainly serpent?" And then, closing his left fist, he brought it under the right elbow and moving his left arm like the hood of a serpent said, "He is terrible, but what can he do to the children of Dwarkamai?" When the Dwarkamai, its preceding deity, protects, what can the serpents do? All who were present there were curious to know the meaning of all this and its reference to Mirikar, but none had the courage to ask Baba about this. Then Balasaheb saluted Baba and left the masjid with Shama. Baba called Shama back and asked him to accompany Balasaheb and enjoy the Chaitali trip. Shama came to Balasaheb and told him that he would go with him according to Baba's wish. Balasaheb said that he need not come as it would be inconvenient. Shama returned to Baba and told him what Balasaheb said to him. Baba said, "All right, do not go. We should mean well and do well. Whatever is destined to happen will happen." In the meantime, Balasaheb thought it over again and calling Shama, asked him to accompany him. Then Shama went again to Baba and taking his leave, started with Balasaheb in the Tanga. They reached Chaitali at 9 p.m. and encamped in the Maruti temple. The office people had not come, so they sat in the temple talking and chit-chatting. Balasaheb was sitting on a mat reading a newspaper. His uparna upper dhotar was spread across his waist and on it a snake was sitting unnoticed. It began to move with a hissing sound which was heard by the peon. He brought a lantern, saw the snake and raised an alarm, "Serpent, serpent." Balasaheb was frightened and began to queer. Shama was also stunned. Then he and others moved quietly and took the sticks and clubs in their hands. The snake slowly came down the waist and moved away from Balasaheb, and it was immediately done to death. Thus this calamity, which was prohensed by Baba, was averted, and Balasaheb's devotion in Baba was confirmed. Bapusaheb Buti. A great astrologer named Nanasaheb Dengle told Bapusaheb Buti, who was then in Shirdi, "Today is an auspicious day for you. There is danger for your life." This made Bapusaheb restless. When they, as usual, came to masjid, Baba said to Bapusaheb, "What does this Nana say? He foretells death for you? Well, you need not be afraid. Tell him, let us see how death kills." Then later in the evening, Bapusaheb went to his privy for easing himself when he saw a snake. His servant saw it and lifted a stone to strike at it. Bapusaheb asked him to get a big stick, but before the servant returned with the stick, the snake was seen moving away and soon disappeared. Bapusaheb remembered Baba's word of fearlessness. Amir Sakkar. Amir Sakkar was a native of the village Korhale in the Koregaon Taluka. He belonged to the butcher caste. He worked as a commission agent in Bandra, Muslim, and was well known there. He once suffered from rheumatism, which gave him much pain. He then remembered Allah, God, left his business and went to Shirdi and prayed to Baba to relieve him from his malady. Baba then stationed him in the Chaudi. The Chaudi was then a damp, unhealthy place, unfit for such a patient. Any other place in the village or Korhale itself would have been a better for Amir, but Baba's words was the command of the chief medicine. Baba did not allow him to come to the masjid, but fixed him in the Chaudi every morning and evening. Every alternate day, Baba went to the Chaudi in a procession and slept there So Amir got Baba's contact very often. Amir said there for full 9 months, and then he got a disgust for the place. So one night he steadily left the place and came to Koregaon and stayed in the Dharamshala. There he saw an old dying fakir who asked him for water. Amir brought it and gave it to him. As soon as he drank it, he passed away. Now Amir was in a fix. He thought that if he went and informed the authorities, he would be held responsible for the death. And he was the first and sole informant and knew something about it. He repented his action, mainly leaving Shirdi without Baba's permission, and prayed to Baba. He then determined to return to Shirdi. The same night he retreated, remembering and muttering Baba's name all the way, and reached Shirdi before daybreak and became free from anxiety. Then he lived in the Chowdi in perfect accordance with Baba's wishes and orders and got himself cured. One night it so happened that Baba cried at night, "O Abdul, some devilish creature is dashing against the side of my bed." Abdul came with a lantern, examined Baba's bed, but found nothing. Baba asked him to examine carefully all the place and began to strike the ground with his satka. Seeing this Leela of Baba, Amir thought that Baba might have suspected some serpent there. Amir could know by close contact with Baba the meaning of words of and action. Baba then saw near Amir's cushion something moving. He asked Abdul to bring in the night and light, and when he brought it, he saw the serpent coiled up there, moving its head up and down. Therefore, the serpent was immediately beaten to death. Thus, Baba gave timely warning and saved Amir's life. Hemandpant, Scorpio, and Serpent. At Baba's recommendation, Kaka Sahib Dikshit was daily reading two works of Shri Eknath Maharaj, mainly Bhagavad and Bhavarta Ramayana. And Hemandpanta had the good fortune to be one of the audience when reading the works was going on. Once, when a portion from the Ramayana relating to the Hanuman's testing Rama's greatness according to his mother's instruction was being read, all the listeners were spellbound. Hemandpanta was one of them. A big scorpion, none knew where it came from, jumped and sat on the right shoulder of Hemandpant on his upper dhotar. First it was not noticed, but as the Lord protects those who are intent on hearing his stories, he casually cast a glance on his right shoulder and noticed it. It was dead silence, not a bit moving here and there. It seemed as if it also enjoyed the reading. Then by Lord's grace, Hemandpanta, without disturbing the audience, took the two ends of dhotar, folded them and brought them together, enclosing the Scorpio within. Then he went out and threw it in the garden. On another occasion, some persons were sitting in the upper floor of Kaka Sahib's Wada just before the nightfall, when the serpent crept through a hole in the window frame and sat coiled up. The light was brought through it, and though it first dazzled, yet it sat still and moved its head up and down. Then many persons rushed there with sticks and cudgels, but as it saw an awkward place, no blow could be dealt. But bearing the noises of men, the serpent went out hastily through the same hole. Then all the persons present there felt relieved. Baba's opinion. One devotee named Mukta Ram then said that it was good that the poor creature escaped. Hemandpanta challenged him, saying the serpent should be killed. There was a hot discussion between them. The former contended the serpents and such creatures should be killed, the latter that they should be. As night came on, the discussion came Discussion came to an end without any decision being arrived at. Next day, the question was referred to Baba, who gave his settled opinion as follows: God lives in all the beings and creatures, whether they be serpents or scorpions. He is the great wire puller of the world, and all the beings, serpents, scorpions, etc., obey his command. Unless he wills it, nobody can do any harm to others. The world is all dependent on him, and no one is independent. So we should take pity and love all creatures, live off killing, and be patient. The Lord God is the protector of all. Bow to Shri Sai. Peace be to all.